Hello, everybody, and welcome to True Crime by Indie Drop-In Network. Every week, we feature a true crime episode from an independent podcast creator. Our mission here is to bring you a diverse set of creators spanning the true crime genre in hopes you find your next favorite podcast to binge. Indie Drop-In runs mostly on coffee, and if you find value in the show and our mission, you can buy us a coffee. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/indie drop-in. I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes, but it'll be all the way at the bottom, past the creator's information. Today's show is from Murder Incorporated. Murder Incorporated is two best friends talking about different true crime cases every week. If you like this episode from Murder Incorporated, make sure to check out the show notes for links to subscribe and follow on social media. Enjoy the show.
Begin.
Hello and welcome to an undisclosed location. This is Murder Incorporated. I am Buddy.
And I'm Marley.
When you think about the Amish, you think about very peaceful and loving people. Very simple type. Not much technology. In fact, none really at all. Very simple, homely people. Very loving people. But Amish man Eli Stutzman chose a path much different than his Amish brethren. Where they chose love and peace, he chose murder and mayhem. We're going to dive deep into his case. And with that, I'll give it to you, Harley.
From the corner of his eye, Cleveland saw a small bit of blue against the brown and gray field. The color was out of place in the wintertime landscape.
Man, what a beautiful opening.
He braked to a stop and backed up to get a closer look. Stepped from the cab in the 30 below zero wind chill. Standing at the edge of the roadside drainage ditch, he looked into the field and immediately spotted what had attracted his attention. Partially hidden in the grass was a dead body, Buddy.
Well, there goes the beauty.
It appeared to be a little girl dressed in a blue one-piece blanket sleeper.
Aw.
Her hand was glazed over with the ice, and her body lay flat and stiff on the ground. He had seen dead bodies before. He had picked them up when he worked for a volunteer for the local ambulance service.
Mm-hmm.
But he had found his mother when she died at home.
Oh.
But this was different and unsettling in a different way. I mean, you can imagine why a child.
Well, yeah, absolutely. A child, and you find it in a ditch. So
That's like where you really would be like, God, I hope this is a mannequin. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I don't even know what would really happen. I don't even know. Like, if I seen something like that, I don't even know.
Oh yeah, I'd panic. I'd be like,
I've had dreams about that.
Have you really?
Yeah. But to actually see it in a real person or a real, oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah, no thanks.
No thanks is right. Wayne and Holmes counties in the Ohio Amish country are lined vertically with Wayne to the north. Fields are still plowed with horses. Oat, corn, and hay crops are rotated. The land is cared for with love and respect that outsiders reserve for humankind. No telephone poles, electric lines, or television antenna anywhere in sight. Although adult Amish dress in black and white, their world does have vivid color. Farms are planted in a quilt of green. Amish girls are allowed to wear like purple, aqua, and celery for their dresses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The men, however, are allowed hooks and eyes as clothing fasteners. Buttons are considered worldly, even militaristic.
Oh, really?
It's crazy. I didn't know that.
Insane. Yeah.
Since draft horses are used for plowing, farms are pretty small. They're not that big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most are, like, the biggest ones are like 80 acres. Which, I mean,
Okay.
that is big, but I guess
That's
not.
big, but I guess
Farm big.
not. Yeah, if you're thinking of like corporate America farm big, that's tiny.
Yeah. The twice daily milkings are done by hand. Most Amish farmers own less than 20 cows. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Due to the antiquated milking methods and the people's refusal to pasteurize, Amish milk is sold only for cheese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Huh, I didn't know either.
The first Amish came to Penn's Woods in America in the 1730s. A century later, they migrated across the Alleghenies to Ohio, where the world's largest settlement continued to thrive to this day. Tourism bureaus would have people believe that Amish are all the same and that they're cut from the same cloth, they're just the same person. But it's really not the case at all. They do all live like strict interpretation of the Bible, but they're still people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're still their own people. The Amish believe in adult baptism, non-resistance, and separatism from the world.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the 40 different sects are named for their founding bishops: Troyer, Beachy, Schwarzenruber, and so on. I could be totally like saying these names wrong, but it's okay.
Schwarzenruber?
Schwarzenruber, I guess it would be.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's an interesting name.
Different groups have their own ways, their own little quirks. Yet nearly all resist change. The Schwarzenruber order founded settlements in the Ohio villages of Apple Creek, Kidron, and Fredericksburg. This ultra-conservative group took the most rigid stance against change.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it say in the Bible they have to change, buddy?
That's 100% true.
Well, the rules of Scripture never changed. The Ordang, that's the rules of the order as set by the church's district bishop, did change.
So Amish, I don't really know a lot about Amish, but they believe in Christ?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the Christian Bible. So it's not like obviously it's not the Jewish Bible because they'd be Jewish. Okay.
So they're like Baptists.
Okay.
I think. Like that.
Kind of like that, all right.
The Ordang accounted for some of the different ways that the Amish church districts for example, some can use farm machinery with rubber tires, while others are only permitted to use steel or wooden ones. So that's the way they could differ in one Amish group by another.
Who makes these rules?
The bishop, the district bishop. So he sets the rules, and then they have to live by it. So if you get like a bishop that's like really strict, and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
But
so who chooses the bishop?
So it's actually this I like. All the ministers will get together,
mm-hmm.
and they just draw straws.
Oh, really?
I think it's the most fair way to do it. That's how they should choose politics. They might as well.
I agree. That's interesting.
And then they're for life, though, unless you get, well, I guess if you died, it would still be for life. But So I think that's actually a pretty cool way. When I see how they choose,
they just draw straws. That's crazy.
Well, they draw a piece of paper, and one of them has scripture on it. And the one with scripture is they say God chose you.
I see. It's not random choice or anything like that.
Yeah. No, there's no such thing, buddy. That's the thing about Amish too. They believe God really does have a plan, and that everything is by his everything. Disasters. That's why a lot of their technology they don't have, because it prevents certain like tragic things to happen, and that would be against God's plan. They said.
Oh, as far as like say you get cancer or whatnot, you can get that healed or not healed, but treatment and whatnot, or
exactly.
Interesting.
And like they don't even have weather vanes on their house.
Okay,
because that goes against God's plan.
To know which way the wind's blowing.
I don't know. Like,
all right. Hey, man, not judging. Just
no, me either. I mean,
I doubt we have any Amish people listening, but
it'd be crazy if like all of our listeners are Amish.
That would be awesome. If you're Amish out there and you're listening, I want you to do me a favor and email MurderIncorporatedPod@gmail.com.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know.
Let us know you. I don't know. Just let us know. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Just let us know that you're Amish. Yeah, exactly. So this is pretty cool. So those who used modern conveniences were considered like not the Antichrist, but like high Amish, they call them. Where low Amish are like right from the beginning the same rules as they had when they started in the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
They still have the same rules. Say that's the low Amish. It's like the opposite, but that is a higher class is low Amish, where the high class Amish are like people that maybe they have cars or tractors in their fields and stuff like that.
So it's Amish and Mennonites are similar, right?
I don't know much about Mennonites.
All right, so I wasn't sure if you researched if it came up.
It does come up in the story a couple times. They're not the same, no.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about these, man.
Mennonites is just a sect that was Amish and now they're not.
Okay.
I do know that, but I don't know much about them other than that.
Yeah, that's kind of when they kind of accepted technology.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all I know. All I know is I go to the Mennonite store, or I used to go to the Mennonite store and get some awesome, awesome food.
Yeah, the Amish around me sell, at the Country Cupboard, it's called, they sell really good baked goods and stuff. Like all the different Amish.
Are they Amish or the Mennonites?
I don't know, actually. I think they're Amish. My wife always says Amish.
Are they using technology?
They don't have a
Cash
store.
register?
They just go and sell their baked goods and stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's like a consignment shop.
Ah, I see.
So, oh my God, I'll tell you what, really good. Really good. But they very well could be Mennonites. I don't know. I don't trust my wife. No, I'm just kidding. So, they do use kerosene lamps, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, though. Kerosene was back in the 1700s.
The smell of burning fuel, along with the aroma of hearty foods cooking, fill Amish homes. Many Amish women use pressure cookers to preserve chicken and beef to make it through the winter. So this is where we get into this. So this guy, Eli Stutzman, who we're going to be talking about, he's low Amish.
Okay.
And his dad's the bishop, so, he's already screwed.
Oh, really? His dad's the bishop, huh?
I mean, we get into it after, but I just thought that was interesting how to be born and be different, and then you get born in like the worst possible thing. You know what I mean? Like the low Amish, which are super strict, like really crazy. Like I don't know, this thing's funny.
Don't they have like what do they call it? Like it's not Ramadan. That's something else.
Oh, don't even pray. Know what you're talking about. Oh, what is it called?
It's when they can go out in the world.
It is a Ramadan, isn't it?
No, that's Ramadan is
something like
Muslim.
that though. Ram something.
Yeah, it's where they go out in the world and like experience the world.
Yeah, we talk about it in here. I just can't think of the name.
Oh, okay.
I just can't think. It's something you're right though, like ram something.
Yeah.
Ramen noodles. No, I don't think that's it. Still, at the end of the winter, many wonder where is all the food gone. A whole cow should last us a winter, buddy. But with 9 kids, it doesn't.
9 kids, yeah. You ain't kidding.
Photographs are banned.
Last you a week, baby.
Yeah, really. I'd shoot myself and tell them, go ahead and eat me if I had 9
there
kids.
You go. You don't have a gun, do you? Amish don't have guns, do they? And they might. I don't know.
I don't
know. 1700s. They had
Yeah,
guns. So
for
yeah, I
hunting,
guess they
probably.
would. Yeah, they'd have guns.
Amish girls play with dolls that have no faces, which I didn't know.
I did know that, actually.
Such representations are in conflict with the commandment forbidding graven images. Small boys play farmer, sometimes using old batteries to mimic milk cans. The batteries are for flashlights, a convenience that the Ordung does allow. At home, the Amish family speaks a dialect of German and Swiss with a little English mixed in. Outsiders call it Pennsylvania Dutch or Deutsch.
Deutsch, yeah. I know that, yeah.
It is.
I am Pennsylvanian Deutsch.
Are you?
Yeah. It's actually German. We actually just found out that that's actually considered, talking to my grandparents, Deutsch is the way you pronounce it, and it's not Dutch at all. It's German.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what I was reading, is that like a lot of the pastors and stuff will do their services in German.
Yeah.
It is only during dealings with the outside world that the Amish speaks English, or non-Amish. The Amish seem as one collective, with several branches of a family often sharing a farm, which I think is nice. The grandpa house is a smaller house that would be attached to the house.
Okay.
So there's no...
Like an in-law house.
Yeah.
No.
In Amish land, grandparents never suffered from having to go to a nursing home. So that's nice.
That is nice, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want my mom living with me, but no, I'm just kidding. I forget she listens sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just call it out right now, buddy.
Yeah, go for it.
My mom is a Patreon.
Yes, she is. Sherry Newell. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, we appreciate all our Patreons. Thank you very much.
Definitely. So, church is held every other Sunday in the homes of the congregation members. It is an all-day affair starting at about 9 a.m. and going into the afternoon. The words of the preacher spoken in Deutsch, in High German, are often unintelligible. That's so funny. The Amish hymnal, the Ausbahn, is better known for its bloody recounting of the lives of the martyrs that brought about the revolution.
What revolution?
Like that's what happened with the Amish, how they came over here.
Okay.
Is the Presbyterian or whatever it's called? I think Presbyterian. I can't even think of it. It's like a revolution for churches when the churches were fighting.
Okay.
That's what they talk about.
Like the Holy Wars, kind of?
Yeah, kind of like that, but for Presbyterians or whatever.
Okay. Interesting.
Hymns are long and tedious. On Sundays, no work is done. No money exchanged. The only chores permitted are those involving animals.
Okay.
And on the in-between Sundays where there's no church, that's for visiting because there is no phones.
In between, so they church,
do church every other Sunday.
Interesting. That's a lot more, reasonable than what the Catholics
definitely.
do. Catholics
I thought everybody had that.
Church. And when you're not at church, you should be at church.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised by that, though. They're so religious, and yet they only have church. But they're also in smaller, like their communities are so small, you see the pastor all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why, I don't know. Here comes Eli H. Stutzman, and their farm was on Apple Creek on a Welty Road. So that's pretty cool. The middle initial on the mailbox is essential in Amish because there's so many different Elis and so many different
Ezekiel's.
Amos and stuff. Yeah,
Amos.
It'll be like Eli H. or Eli L.
Okay.
So they go by their middle name to differentiate them.
They still only have 26 letters, so.
Yeah.
Better not be 26 Eli's.
In some of these families, it probably is. So, with families sometimes having a dozen or more children, such initials are necessary. Like I said, Stutzman's roots were in the Amish settlement outside of Bernie, Indiana. Wow. That was a brain fart. Although the father moved the family to a farm a mile or so from Kidron in 1921. When Eli H. Stutzman was 18 years old, his hand got caught in a press.
Okay.
And it ripped his hand off.
Oh, geez. So
Can you imagine that?
So he's missing a hand.
His father's missing a hand.
Oh, his father. Okay, all right.
It's crazy. Oh,
That's insane. Ugh. Reminds me of the movie The Machinist. You ever seen that?
That's a wicked good movie.
Oh, yeah.
He was fitted with a hook, and therefore, now he's known as One-Handed Eli.
There you go.
Nice nickname.
Now it'll be O.H. Eli on his mailbox.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, Eli.
Yeah. So, Schwarzentruber and Yoder Stutzman married Susan Miller. She had 13 children.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine that, buddy?
No.
The fourth child...
2 is too much for me.
Yeah, 2 is like, okay. That's it. The fourth child, a son named Eli, was born on September 28th, 1950.
I guess you kind of need that many kids for the amount of farm work they have.
Oh, yeah, free labor.
Yeah.
How about another kid?
Yep.
Eli E., to avoid confusion with his father, the family called him Eli Ali. Well, that's much better. Was a bright child with a slight stutter. He showed an early interest in horses and a disdain for farm work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bummer when your whole life is a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And he enjoyed being the center of attention.
Okay.
Said a cousin, Eli always thought he was just a little bit too good for the rest of us. School friends remembered Stutzman. Now I forgot how to say it. What did I say earlier? Stutzman?
Stutzman. Stutzman, isn't it?
Stutzman? It don't matter.
Stutzman.
As a boy who could break the rules and convincingly place the blame elsewhere.
Okay.
We've seen that before,
Yeah, it sounds like
lying from an early age.
It sounds like it's going to be part of our trifecta here.
Yeah. By 6 or 7, it was apparent that the Amish boy was a habitual liar, also known as a habitual line stepper, buddy. Years later, Susan Stutzman could clutch her hands to her breast and shake her head and say, if I could understand why he was always lying. She's like always saying, like, I wish I could understand. He just always lied.
Eli the liar.
Eli the liar. That's how they could have freaking differentiated him.
Right?
Once Eli and his brother, Andy, played with a cart to which they attached a small gasoline motor, taking turns riding this contraption down the hill by the barn. When the engine fell off and broke a pulley, they had to come up with a story to tell their father. And it was Eli who covered it up. And he said that this is the first time that he remembers his brother lying. It was about that thing they built, whatever you want to call it, go-kart.
So they built a go-kart with an engine. Where'd they get the engine from?
I don't know. So this where they live, it's not, there's Mennonites near them. There's
I guess
non-Amish. I mean, I'm guessing that's where, I don't know.
I guess, kids can, I'm sure the kids do crazy things when you're Amish. You just like, especially with all the world around you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think he lied too good, his brother said. However, Eli's father was never fooled by his lies. Although his stories were detailed enough and told with great sincerity, the elder Stutzman saw them for what they were. Now, on one hand, Eli was the minister in his church district. He had been chosen by lot, which is the way the Amish have done it for centuries, where they pick the paper and then they get the one with scripture on it is the person that's going to be the minister.
God has chosen you.
And they say that, it's by God has chosen to preach his word.
You have been selected by the Almighty. Luck of the draw.
Suck if you get the minister and he's got like a stutter and then you got to listen to that crap all the time.
Damn you, God.
Damn you, God. A small gray-haired man whose hair was just a bit longer than that of some of his neighbors. The senior Stutzman held great faith and like a unyielding belief in the old ways. So he was definitely a party pooper. So
party pooper. I don't know why I found this so funny.
He would not accept any misbehavior by his children. He would often whip them, which is no fun.
No, not at all.
As a father, he had a responsibility to ensure that his children followed the Ordung. As a minister, he was under tremendous pressure to see that his children, more so than others, told the line, which I can understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if you're in such a high expectation sort of society.
Yeah, definitely. His problem was the son named for him, a bright but rebellious boy who had an eye for horses, money, and the modern world. That's no good.
Not at all.
At home or at school, Ali found new ways to get into trouble. The incidents were small at first, but grew with age. The more his father held him down, the more he tried to break away, which you always see that.
Yeah, that's how it works, yeah.
A neighbor of the Stutzmans remembered the young Eli. He didn't seem to work as hard as the others when we were out in the field or at the husking. Eli was always pretending he was sick when he should be working.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, this farm work is bummer.
It's for the birds, yo.
For the birds. So as he grew towards manhood, seeing the Amish neighbor was right, which we'll find out, yes. The doghouse, that's what it's called, a rundown little beer joint, was a popular hangout for Amish boys going through Rumspringa.
Rumspringa, there you go.
I knew it was Rum something. I'm like, oh. So you had almost the equivalent of them going out and finding themselves before they come back to back into the fold. The fun was generally harmless, just a couple of beers and a few laughs, but young Eli Stutzman belonged to the Wild Westerns, they called themselves, a group of rowdy Amish youths who frequented the doghouse.
Oh, okay.
The boys in Stutzman's circle souped up their buggies with decals and bumper stickers. That's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just thinking kids nowadays, souping up their cars, they're souping up their buggies.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
And they would tuck radios out of the view and play country music.
Oh, really?
Sometimes pranks were played. Buggies were torn up or trashed in a pond or a field. And once Eli stole a boy's bicycle. Mostly it was done in fun. I just can't imagine that. You going out there in your wagons just in a million pieces,
Yeah, it's like, what the hell, man?
However, Stutzman, whom many considered popular, later told friends that there were times when he had been treated as an outcast by some of the members of the order.
Mm-hmm.
Some boys who didn't like me hung a dead-skinned cat in my buggy.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it is messed up. I don't know why they didn't like me, he said. Springer, yeah, probably, is also the time of dating. A lot of the Amish girls liked Eli Stutzman, especially his eyes, which were really, really blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He was small and slim, standing above 5 feet 6 inches, and weighing 140 pounds, solid probably, Dressed in his white shirt, his black coat, and his pants, he was perfectly proportioned, compact, and solid.
It's a fine-looking Amish boy, huh?
Oh, yeah, he's like getting all the girls. For the Amish who value... Oh, and he had a huge wang. Huge.
I thought you were going somewhere else where they were trying to go up to huge wagon or something. Yeah, I said wang. And you found this out how?
They talked about it, and his boyfriends and stuff would talk about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's gay.
He's gay too.
That's the first time you mentioned that.
Yeah. So at this time, he's like, I'm sure he is gay, but he's hiding it.
Yeah.
So his wild and rebellious streak was his biggest plus for the girls. Like anybody,
Mm-hmm.
They always like the rebels when they're young. For the Amish who value and insist on conformity, Eli Stutzman was fun to be around. He was different from the others. Among the higher Amish, bundling, this is called, the courtship custom of an unmarried couple occupying the same bed, wearing all their clothes though. So no sex. So
what was that exactly?
It's called bundling.
Bundling. And
So
why would you do that?
I have no idea. I've never got in bed with a girl being like, let's not have sex. I've never.
Let's just wear all of our clothes and lay in bed. That sounds like
all
a blast.
the fun out of being in bed. So, and some people thought that was just an invitation for trouble. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which it is.
I mean, you're human either way. Whether you're Amish, you're Jewish, or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm sure that most of these people were not just laying in bed.
No. No.
The Schwarzentroopers, however, held tight to the tradition, but not without a price. Out of wedlock pregnancies occurred, buddy.
How? They had their clothes on.
That's exactly it. What is that called? The miracle baby.
The Immaculate Conception?
Immaculate Conception, yeah.
Well, there's only been one in the whole world's, the whole history of the world.
These guys have one every month.
I mean, how is that possible?
It is crazy.
Dun, is crazy. Dun. How many Jesuses are there out there?
After all, birth control was not only against the Bible, it was a violation of the Ordung. Gossip among the Schwarzentroopers frequently targeted girls who bundled too hard. Such talk could be substantial. The girl's dating was curtailed and monitored by her parents.
I'm going to go bundle my wife too hard.
Bundling too hard. I'm going to do that too. Not to your wife, but to my wife. Amish adolescents really don't learn about sex from their parents. It's just not talked about. And it's not taught in school either.
Yeah, just figure it out on their own.
They learn by watching farm animals, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because they'll do it. Probably watching ducks and stuff like that. Yeah, because ducks know how to do it.
So they're like, yeah, ducks rape only for sex.
Yeah, I was going to say, ducks just rape. That's all they do. It's
so
terrible.
It is terrible. It's horrible to watch. Occasionally, boys get their hands on forbidden men's magazines, buddy.
Pornos.
Yep. Buddy loves porn. I'm just kidding.
Good old Jugs.
Good old Jugs.
Got my subscription to Jugs. Do people even have porno subscriptions anymore? Is that even a thing with the internet? It's like,
why would you bother? All the free porn. Why would you even bother?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Grandpa's out there oh yeah, I can't wait for the new Playboy. Oh yeah. So these co-ed gatherings were called singings, and this is for the youth to get a mixer, a dance. A dance. Sometimes they are wilder than that, though, buddy. With Amish boys smuggling in beer. Ooh. It was at a singing that Eli Stutzman met 16-year-old Ida Gingrich. For Ida, the attraction was immediate. She got the feeling, she later told her sister, that Stutzman liked her too.
Except for Stutzman liked boys.
Yeah, so I think he was looking at your brother. Not you.
He was looking at Eli O.
Yeah, exactly.
Eli.
Ida was a beautiful girl, buddy. She had beautiful eyes, and she was just a beautiful girl.
Mm-hmm.
She had ash blonde hair, and it was thick. So the Gingriches, like the Stutzman, were Schwarzentroopers. So that means that they're low Amish.
Okay.
Although they lived in a different church district. The Gingriches were a warmer family with a concern for one another, so it was not so cold in the household. It wasn't that the Stutzman didn't love one another. They just didn't show it at all.
Right.
So his dad probably never told him he loved him. Eli and Ida dated for the next 4 years.
Wow.
Everyone assumed that after they joined the church, it's a requirement for marriage among the Amish, that you officially join the church and get baptized when you're an adult, though.
Oh, so you're not baptized as a baby.
No, you're done. You have to choose it, and then you get it done as an adult. Everyone assumed that after they joined the church that they would get married, buddy. It was Ida who first confessed her sins and knelt before the church to join the Schwarzentroopers.
The bundles got too hard.
She was bundling hard, buddy.
Yeah.
Stutzman followed her baptism with one of his own. So now it's the fall of 1971. Stutzman, who only had a standard 8th grade education, began to work as a teacher, buddy.
Wow.
So
you don't really got to teach like physics or, chemistry or anything like that. So I guess 8th grade is a good place to stop.
Yeah, might as well. You're teaching the same crap out anyway, you know what I mean? Once you get a hang of it, he's like, yeah, what do I really have to teach you?
Yeah,
farming?
Yeah, exactly. You got to learn how to farm. I mean, you really
what do they...
Yeah,
I just can't imagine what they're teaching is even difficult. So, I mean, it probably happens all the time. Although neighbors believe that one hand Eli was pleased with his son's growth into adulthood. He was a member of the church, he had a steady girl, and a job as a school teacher. So he seems like...
He's an upstanding citizen.
Yeah.
He's doing good for himself.
But his rebellion continued.
Mm-hmm.
Many who knew the family wondered why the minister couldn't control his son. Some felt that the minister was not sufficiently loving to his boy, which I definitely agree with.
Yeah.
And was too harsh a disciplinarian.
Yeah.
He was always trying to control him. So when Eli was 21, he moved from his parents' farm to a farm across the road.
Oh, really?
Run by an old order Amishman named Mose Keem. Keem, whose church was less restrictive than the conservative Schwarzentroopers, knew that Stutzman had some trouble at home. So Keem and his wife, Ada, not to be confused with Ida, wanted to help, but neither wanted to be like in the middle of it, but they did like Eli.
Right.
Everyone liked Eli.
He's a likable guy, a likable sociopath.
Like, what's good about this story is a lot of Amish people have diaries or journals. They journal.
So there's a lot of evidence for this. Yeah, a lot of information.
So it's pretty cool, to see like people are. Oh, of course, everybody's gonna be like, "Hey, listen, we didn't know how he's gonna turn out."
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's pretty cool to see. Like one thing I was reading, they're like, "Oh yeah, if this had happened on this certain day, somebody would have journaled about it." So it's like something he says later on.
Yeah,
that just didn't happen.
Gotcha.
So it's like pretty cool to see. Like, I mean, not very often I would say would you get like 20 years worth of journaling, like other people's point of view too, not just one.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
So it's got to be a lot of solid factual information.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to do a deep dive on this case, because there's so much interesting stuff and I trust it. And I'm like, an Amish serial killer. We can't freaking pass up that.
You can't pass that up. I mean, that's pure gold.
Pure gold. Soon word got out that Stutzman had gone to the school board asking for a raise. He told Keim that he hadn't named a figure, but he felt that he wanted more and deserved more than the $140 a month he was earning.
Yeah, I mean,
this is 1971. I mean, that's not much money.
That's how much money, especially the amount of work that the Amish people do.
Yeah, that's not much. I mean, he's definitely got better than somebody that's like only in the field, so
Yeah.
Being a teacher, so. But it's still $140 a month. How far does that get you? They don't buy you many beers, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He also told Keim that his father thought he was trying to become more worldly, which is a bad thing, by asking for more money.
Yeah.
The truth was, I feel that his father could no longer control him, but he still wanted to show him who was boss. One example is that Eli tried to have his son's salary go directly to him.
It's going to piss him off.
Yeah, it's like he's pushing him away,
Yeah.
It's like he's not old enough or too old now to beat, so now I'm trying to control him another way.
His father seems like a real asshole.
Yeah. That is not any way for a father to beat. Eli was 21 and should have been allowed his own money.
Yeah.
One-handed Eli visited his son several times at Keim's, each time telling them that he was wrong to leave home and return home immediately. And of course, she would refuse.
Yeah.
He told Keim that his father had even gone to the school board to see that the raise was not given. It's like, that's so messed up. For young Stutzman, the pressure was too much. On February 12th, 1972, he collapsed without warning as he was on his way to the upstairs bedroom to dress for a Saturday night date with Ida Gingrich.
Oh, really?
For Mennonite osteopath Elton Lemon, the tiny Ohio village of Mount Eaton was the perfect location for a family practice. So they would go to a doctor.
Okay.
Like a Mennonite doctor, but still a doctor,
Mhm.
like a real doctor. Not
Right. They just wouldn't have any modern medicine.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't get whatever. You're saying about the cancer and stuff, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't get like regular prescription pills or have anything to treat their anxiety or depression.
Well, this guy does get
pain.
on medicine.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, I could have sworn that they don't, but I mean, maybe this order does, because they have different orders for different rules for different orders or whatever, or dongs. When the Amish needed a doctor, they made the trip to town and tied their horses to the hitching post outside. For patients too ill to travel, the doctor would make house calls. Because, you know why? Because they paid cash, buddy.
That's right. That's right.
And always paid on time,
Government can't tax cash.
Yeah.
If they can't find it, that is.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, yeah, bring your horse. I don't care. Sometimes, paid cash, I trusted him. A few Amish patients had even invited the doctor and his wife into their house for dinner, which that is like your true indication that you're accepting of another person in Amish society is you have them over for dinner.
Gotcha.
So they trusted this Dr. Lehman.
Okay.
And Dr. Lehman had heard the rumors about Eli Stutzman and his mental problems. So he was not surprised when he was summoned to the Keim's farm that Saturday night. He found Stutzman in a bed upstairs in a depressed and nervous state.
Mm-hmm.
One-handed Eli was also there, looking troubled and concerned. And he said that his son was having nerve problems, he called it. He's out of control. And I don't know what to do to help him. Young Eli remained in bed until Sunday evening, seeming to drift in and out of consciousness. Although his father had wanted him to return to the farm, Dr. Lehman recommended that he stay put until his condition improved.
Mm-hmm.
As the weeks passed, Keim doubted that Stutzman would ever recover.
Oh,
his
really?
nerves just seemed too shot.
Wow.
So his dad's putting a lot of pressure on him,
Yeah.
And
He's probably having a mental breakdown.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the stress that you could be on and he's so young. Like, it's sad. He called in a woman who it's called foot reflexology. It's a technique that Amish favor over traditional medicine.
Mm-hmm.
The woman would do whatever you do with feet. And then, she's like, he was so sore that she couldn't even touch his feet.
Oh, really?
So he really, his nervousness was really affecting his nervous system.
That's crazy.
So he was really a mess. Keim next took Stutzman to a chiropractor in Brewster, Ohio. And Bissell showed the Amishman how his nerve pressure had tightened. He said that the place of his skull and caused them to shift abnormally because that's how bad his tension was in his head. So he prescribed some pills and arranged for a number of treatments. At his Apple Creek farm, Keim did what he could do to help. And he would even bathe him.
Oh, wow.
So they were really close.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he would massage his neck while he bathed him. And he would say that it was literally like solid metal. His neck was so tight.
Wow.
That he was just like, ugh. Okay. He wondered how Stutzman could survive such tense muscles and nerves. But there was more. One day shortly after the collapse on the stairs, Keim found Stutzman crying in the barn. When he asked him what was wrong, Stutzman told him that ever since the breakdown, he had a constant erection that was both painful and embarrassing.
Oh, jeez.
Keim didn't know what to do to help him. Well, if this is a porno, this is when he'd be like, oh, I know how to fix that.
Bow chicka wow wow.
He considered asking Dr. Lehman about it, but dismissed it.
Amish.
Oh, they definitely got that out there.
Oh, you know it. I'm sure it's got some bestiality in it, too.
That's funny. It seemed to go on for months. I can't imagine that.
That's gross, man.
Yeah, that was a little bit gross. That's okay.
I took a little too far.
No, that's what you get at Murder Incorporated,
That's right,
buddy.
You get things that go way too far.
Bestiality. Somehow, that breakdown affected his sex. They think that this affected him for the rest of his life.
Oh, well.
So, I mean, must have had a big, effect on him. It was about that time that Keim and his wife discovered several notes that Stutzman had written on scraps of paper and left in his bedroom. The words, written in English, included references to Satan and hell.
Really?
Keim and his wife, didn't know why they were left there. And they're like, did he leave them there so that we would find him? Is it crying for help?
Keim's a doctor, right?
Keim's just his friend. Lehman's the doctor.
Okay, Lehman's the doctor. Okay.
Keim is the guy, he moved to his farm to get away from his
Gotcha.
dad.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I had to...
No, you're
confused.
fine. I know,
Too
there's
many
a lot of names. There's a lot of names. One Sunday morning, Keim found Stutzman downstairs, dressed in the kitchen. His long, Schwarzentroober hair was cut short, which is not good. This is particularly disturbing to the farmer. Eli, what in the world did you do to yourself, he asked. Stutzman just ignored him and said he wanted to go to the church. That was fine with Keim, yet he still wondered why Stutzman hadn't had somebody else cut his hair instead of just butchering it himself.
Right.
Which is, it's so odd.
That seems like a sign of mental illness and a breakdown.
Definitely. This guy's got serious problems.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Stutzman had his Schwarzentroober-style boogie outfitted with a more sophisticated dash, which I don't even know what that means. Like a bell. You know what I mean? What could that even consist of? I have no idea.
A sophisticated dash? Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
I don't know what that would be on the dash, but...
I don't know. You got me.
Yeah. It'd be awesome if I had a speedometer. You're still going 1 mile an hour. Even though Stutzman never wanted to cross the road to tell his family what he was up to, his father got wind of the changes. So now the rumor mill is running crazy in Amish about him. Word was out that trouble still plagued the Stutzman family. And while out on the house call 3 months before, Dr. Lehman had seen the young man. And Dr. Lehman said that he was a time bomb waiting to explode, which I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that much stress, and I mean, you can feel the the stress according to the doctors, or according to Keim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Amishman's concern was obvious. And so the father went to the doctor's office and said, wanted to know what he can do to control him. Asked him the doctor.
Yeah, what can I do to control my child rather than fixing him and helping him? I want to control him.
Exactly.
What a nice dad.
And of course, Dr. Lehman's going to be like, oh, I know what you could do. So he could go for treatment voluntarily, right? Which is probably what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have the police against his will take him away.
Yep.
Which is probably not a good thing to do. The Amishman showed little emotion. He nodded and left the office. He said, okay, jackpot. Eli Stutzman. And he had a mammoth horse for pulling the wagon.
Okay.
That he really loved. He really loved horses. And he could break like any horse.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't break them by, some people are rough and take over the horse. That's how they break them. He would just wait and be gentle. Mm-hmm. And he really loved the horses. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Man, this serial killer doesn't seem like such a bad guy so far.
Yeah,
like
they always are good until they start the killing.
I know, right?
Keim watched from the yard as a sheriff's car pulled up to his house one day. And he says, is Eli Stutzman working for you? And he said, he's over in the field. He said, we have to talk to him now. So he usually didn't get anything of it, really. Mm-hmm. The officers left, and a few minutes later, returned with Stutzman, who was frantically freaking out.
Oh, jeez.
They're going to take me away. They're going to take me away, he's saying.
Come here, take me away.
And he's like, we've got orders. That's all the police are telling me.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how that happened.
This is not good for his mental stability, his mental state.
Or trusting people at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Your dad, who was supposed to have your back, is totally screwing him over. Mm-hmm. After he already is probably half the reason that he's got all these problems.
Right.
They shoved him into the back seat of the sheriff's car. Keim, both frightened and outraged, ran across the street, which is huge for an Amish guy to do. And he confronted him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of confronted him. He said, I don't think much of what you've done. That's like a burn in friggin', you know what I mean? Amish.
That's like using the F word, man.
It's I almost used the F words. Later that day, Keim learned that Stutzman had been taken to Falls View Hospital, and one-handed Eli had rushed up to Cuyahoga Falls on the bus with a suitcase full of clothes for him. Keim had the feeling that Stutzman's father planned this to have him committed. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think he definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of father would do that to his son, buddy? You know?
It's a terrible father.
Like,
Father just wanted to get rid of his son, essentially.
He really does. Like,
he just doesn't.
So if you're not going to conform, then just be gone.
Yep.
After this is a tough situation to be if you are like an Amish or anything like that, and you're like one of the different people. You know what I mean? You got to feel like so alone.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine how many Amish people out there, like children, are actually growing up and feeling this way, though.
Yeah.
Like with all the world around them. Like I think about that every time when I pass like one of the buggies. It's like, what do those children think when they see like all these cars and technology all around them? Like, what do they think? Like, why can't I enjoy that? You know?
I always think that too. Like when I see one, I'm like, I literally am going to where you're going down to the store in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And it's taking you it's a whole day trip for you.
Yeah.
You know, so life, I mean, I'm not saying they're all miserable.
No, yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just like, I wonder those things, you know?
Yeah, me too.
And maybe I'm completely off base and maybe they're completely happy doing what they're doing, but I wonder what those kids are thinking, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I agree. After 3 days in the hospital, Stutzman returned to Keim's farm, saying he was disgusted with his father, which I don't blame him, and that his dad did indeed is the one that was behind putting him in the mental ward.
Yeah.
So he said that he wanted to leave the Swartzen Troopers now. This is what makes him want to leave the Swartzen Troopers.
Okay.
And joins Keim's district.
Okay.
Eli attended church a few times. Then his interest just seemed to you know.
Okay.
To Keim, it was becoming more apparent that the young man had severe mental problems. So at this time, Keim caught Stutzman in a number of lies. Now this is starting to catch up to him. Most of them pertaining to his whereabouts when he left the farm.
Okay.
And nobody knew where he was going. Stutzman claimed that he had an Amish friend in Ashland. Yet no one in Ashland had ever seen him there. Even worse, some whispered what they had seen Stutzman in a car.
Oh,
which
really?
is a no-no.
Yeah.
Driving a car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One Sunday afternoon, Stutzman entertained several Englishers at Keim's house when him and his wife were away.
Oh, really?
So that's crazy. It's crazy. Like on August 12th, 1972, Keim's barn burned to the ground.
Oh, geez.
A half hour after Stutzman had caught the bus for Ashland.
Oh, wow.
Keim never believed it was Stutzman. Even after everything happened, he didn't think it was Stutzman, but most people did. Most people blamed him. When Stutzman told him he had sold his buggy and bought a bicycle and was planning to leave the Amish, Keim was sorry about the young man's decision to leave the faith, but he was not sad to see Stutzman leave the farm.
He sold his buggy.
Bought a bicycle. Yeah.
That seems like a kind of a downgrade.
I'd way rather have a buggy. I wish I had a buggy right now.
I know,
you know what
right?
I mean?
Especially with some horses, man. Be awesome.
Yeah, it's better than riding a bike.
Yeah, it's riding a bike, man. It's way too much work.
Yeah. Besides, there's no more he could do for Eli.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I've done everything I can to help him. So the 24-year-old Amishman, Joe Slaba, an occasional visitor to Keim's farm after Stutzman's breakdown. Oh, yeah, so Eli Stutzman was the kind of rowdy young troublemaker who would become angry, even belligerent, when he was caught doing something that he wasn't supposed to do. So he's one of those, what are you talking about? It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Especially if going to the bishop was threatened. Stutzman tested the limits of the Ordung at every opportunity. When Joe heard that Stutzman was having trouble with the Swartzen Troopers, he figured that in time he would cool off and return to the fold. Joe, who was working as a carpenter in Apple Creek, searched for the right words to comfort Stutzman, yet let him see that he should come back to the Swartzen Troopers. Stutzman insisted that he was happier without the rules of the order, and especially without his father. I think that's the main thing.
I agree.
And he's just like, if this is what you are, I don't want to be that at all.
Yeah, he kind of pushed him completely away.
Exactly. Definitely.
That's really what happens.
When Joe left after a visit, he felt that he had heard about Stutzman was true, that he was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
The old order Amish had 2 sanctions that were effective in keeping the renegade members in the church. One was to ban or excommunicate a sinful member of the church. The other was meidung, which that was the practice of shunning or avoiding members who had been banned. Members could not accept services or give services to any banned Amishmen.
Okay.
The measures were harsh, but they often worked. I mean, I could see that. If you're totally alienated, you're going to be like from your family and everybody you love.
Yeah.
It's like a cult. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it works most of the time, which I believe that. The summer of 1972, buddy, was sweltering, and the Amish church meeting only intensified with heat. Amish men, women, and their children sat lined up in the wooden benches and listened respectfully to the preachers and the bishop, although many of them had no idea what he was saying because it was in High German, but they're just like nodding their head, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they're really nodding their head, but probably. Joe was in the church that day. Stutzman was expelled and put under the ban. The church took counsel and asked the members whether Stutzman should be excommunicated for his disobedience and his desire to leave the order. Joe wanted to say something on his troubled friend's behalf, but he was scared that if he did, he would get put on the bond too.
Right.
So it's some pretty drastic steps they're taking now.
Yeah.
Towards this poor kid. So he sat quietly and didn't do anything while they were like bashing his friend. But I don't blame him.
It's sad, but you really can. I mean, that's your whole life, you know.
Yeah, and you believe in it too. So it's not like, you know what I mean? He might be your friend, but you don't agree with him.
Yeah.
Joe felt Stutzman had left the church because of wanting something else from his life. Mm-hmm. And because of his parents, basically, his dad.
Yeah.
Other boys were making peace with the church, and Joe hoped his friend would do the same. When the news about Stutzman reaches Ida, she was a mess, you know. She's thinking they're going to get married, and now he's got the bond on him, so until he's in good graces with the church, they can't even get married. So, you know, they've been dating for years. It's not like a couple months.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a mess. And she was like, this is her future husband. Since Stutzman could get work outside of the Shorsen troopers, he didn't have to suffer the financial hardship that forced some to return. So that's good.
That is good, yeah.
The breakdown and the lies had been worth it to Stutzman. He wanted out of the Amish life, and he was glad to leave. He was like, I don't care. Kick me out. You can't fire me. I quit. You know
right,
what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
If he couldn't take meals with his father, so what? He was free.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in his life, he's free.
Yeah, it's got to feel good.
Let's go back to 1985, buddy.
1985, man.
Yeah.
That's the year of my birth.
And Buddy's just a cute little baby. He's just born with a full head of curls. It's so cute. So cute.
Full head of curls. I think I was bald when I was born.
No. I was there, buddy.
You were there. You were delivering me?
Yeah, I was delivering you. Now that's a best friend. I delivered you.
When you were 3 weeks old?
Yeah, I was 3 weeks old. I'm like, I got a feeling about this freaking hospital in Pennsylvania. Let's go, Mom. The Thayer County Sheriff's Department is the one that found that body of the baby. Let's get back to that. On the morning of December 24th, 1985, so Buddy is just a couple months old. So am I.
December 24th, is that what you said?
Yep.
It's Christmas Eve. That's my first Christmas, man. That's your first Christmas.
Yeah, our first Christmas.
Yeah.
And this kid's last.
Oh, man. It's terrible.
It is really terrible. So that's when they found the body, too, is on Christmas Eve.
Oh, my God.
So it's like, your Christmas would be screwed forever now.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not forgetting that.
No.
Sad.
So this is crazy for this county's sheriff's department because they're like, no, you have no murders.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just find this random kid.
Oh, yeah.
So they're used to like burglaries or something like that.
Yeah, something
drug-related offenses.
Low, yeah.
And then they got this freaking murder. So it's pretty crazy. At 9:30 a.m., a call came in from the cafe. Some crazy lady had been at the restaurant all night. Mm-hmm. She was upset and talking strange, and they wanted her out. So Young, who's the police chief, told McPherson to respond. So Bill McPherson and Bill Anderson. Oh yeah, so they go out to Ortman's, and they got this crazy out there they're calling her, and so they go out there to get the call, whatever. And a few minutes after 10, the call came in about the body. Chuck Cleveland had found the body.
All right, so they get the call about the crazy lady,
and then they get the call.
They get the call about
right
the body.
after. They couldn't believe that there was a child's body, let alone a body at all. But I mean, a child's body, like that doesn't happen anywhere a lot. You know what I mean? Like even if you're in New York City, that doesn't happen that often where you find a child's body. So and there's like no trauma on the kid, none that they see. Like there's no physical, like a gunshot or a stab wound. They don't see any blood. Mm-hmm. So it's like this kid just is dead there. So it's crazy.
That is weird. It's creepy.
So this woman, okay, she's a stocky.
Sad, but
it is
creepy,
sad. Yeah. Creepy too. Yeah, you're right. That really is. The stocky, middle-aged woman was nuts, buddy. And she said that a truck driver had dropped her off, and because he was messing with her, she made him drop her off. Like he was trying to get sex from her for a ride. And she had killed somebody.
Oh, really?
It's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then they're slowly realizing, like, okay, this lady's like not killing anybody. She needs to go back to the nut house or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, back to the mental institution where she came from. Because none of her stories adding up. Like she's like, I've been walking for days and all this stuff, but it's like her clothes are like clean. She doesn't look like. So it's just like, okay. So then they realized pretty quickly this has nothing to do with that body. They just tried to calm her down, and then they brought her to the house.
So this lady had nothing to do with the story?
No, not at all. But I thought it was funny because she's like, right after, she's like, or right before, you know, and she's like, said she killed somebody.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. So a call from the dispatcher interrupted the scene. Sheriff Young had a code of a 1097, buddy. You know what 1097 is?
A murder?
Oh, you're good, buddy. You should be a police officer.
I know it, right? I know all the codes.
I wish I did it just for like listening to like a, you know, like the scanner. You know, it'd be fun. But I'm like, you think it's exciting, but it's probably like a freaking, you know, a cat stuck in a tree or something.
Yeah, that could be pretty exciting.
I had a dream the other night that I was watching a fireman get a cat out of a tree.
Really?
In Utica, yeah.
Really?
That I was like watching. I'm like, wow, they really do get cats out of trees. I don't remember much about this, but I remember that part of the dream. It just clicked in my head when I said that. Weird.
Nice segue.
Yeah. So now they're going for his dead body, buddy. And he says, it's over there. And all of these officers are really upset. Like, they're like, they can't believe this in their neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just nuts. The child's head was tilted back, and so you couldn't make out the face. So they're thinking this is a girl at first.
Okay.
And then Young shook his head and walked around the body to get a look at the child's face, or what was left of it. Because animals had eaten, you know, like they always do. They eat your lips. They friggin' get to you when you die. So he's like, all right, let me see. But he doesn't see anything, like no stab marks, any gunshot wound, like I said before.
Mm-hmm.
And the eyes are blue, although it was like, they could only see a little bit, you know. Mm-hmm. But he said the eyes are blue. The child's right hand was tucked under her body, they're calling her now. Sharp, violent lines marked her cheek and bruises, discolored her forehead. Young wondered if the girl had been beaten and strangled, because he's not the coroner, you know. Mm-hmm. So he's thinking, what's going on? Carefully, while like watching each of his steps, he's like, well, and the guy pulls down the pants to check. He said, oh, it's a boy. So they know that so far now. At least they know they got a boy. So finally, Young told Cleveland he could leave. The truck stop owner was like, oh, get me the hell out of here. I'm done anyway. And then they tell him to be quiet about it. Don't say anything that we found a child's body. He said, I'm not going to say anything because like whoever did this still be here. So now by noon, all the people in town knew already. It's a small town. You know how it is.
It's a small town, yeah, where it travels fast.
And so everybody's like, it's like Christmas Eve. That's what I thought was so weird that all these cars are going to check it out, their body. It's Christmas Eve. Like, you have nothing better to do.
Family
I would never want to see that.
No, thanks. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see that any day of the year, but I'm just saying, like.
Small town, you know?
Yeah, like, I guess.
Any news is good as interesting news, so.
Yeah, people love a train wreck.
That's right.
Okay.
Poor boy.
And they thought it was weird that the kid's wearing a one-piece sleeper. And he's like, looks like, they don't know for sure how old he is, but looks like he's like 9 or 10 years old. They thought that was weird because the one guy has kids, and he's like, my kid stopped wearing those like a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's why they thought it was a girl, because of the sleeper thing at first. It was the first time in 11 years that they had to deal with a murder.
Oh, wow. It's a long time.
Yeah. And the only time that this detective had seen a dead body like that was a child. He said the next oldest one he ever seen was a 17-year-old that committed suicide. It's so sad. So they want to know who this child is. And the skin is looking dark, so they're thinking maybe it's a Mexican child.
Okay.
So at first, they have like no clues on any of this. You know what I mean? They're totally like, nobody in town's missing a kid. Like, they have like no idea where this kid came from.
Yeah.
So, and they thought it was weird that the baby blue sleeper that she was wearing, or he was wearing, was like brand new looking.
Oh, really?
Like, he just plopped right where he was and didn't walk. And like, you know, it's like so weird. It's the middle of winter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's not like it's nice out. There was like -30 with the wind chill. So it's like pretty freaking cold. Soon, the Nebraska State Patrol investigators come. So they take the critical measurements at the scene, and they map out the body position, noting that it had been discovered approximately 20 feet from the road, which ran north and south. The ditch, which drained through a culvert under the road to the adjacent field, was approximately 2.5 feet deep at the point where the body had been discovered. So basically thrown in a ditch. Or if that's what happened, we don't know, buddy. While investigators continued to search the scene for evidence, Dan, the detective, knelt down and said a prayer at the body. So that's nice.
That is nice.
The troopers who had children were throwing up at the scene just because they were so sad.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them. You know, it's like, you might be a cop and see a lot of messed up stuff, but you're still human.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like,
absolutely.
It's Christmas Eve. You don't want to find a freaking
dead kid. That's like the worst time, you know?
Yeah. Who would murder a little boy and throw him in a ditch like somebody's trash? And the boy wasn't frozen to the ground. So that's, I don't know, it's pretty...
He hadn't been there for very long.
Yeah, hadn't been there very long. Because it's so cold out, he would be frozen. So that's a clue, I guess. Young arranged for Lone Adams to bring a hearse to get the body to the coroner. Once there, the sheriff's department and the state patrol could regroup. With any luck, they would wrap it up in time for Christmas, buddy. In the hours that followed, there'd be little physical evidence recovered from the scene.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They had a sneaker brand, a T-shirt, and that's about it.
It's nothing.
But the evidence is bagged and tagged and sent to the state crime lab for analysis. I mean, this is only 1985, so... The investigators and the patrolmen had followed the hearse all the way to the funeral home. There are 8 cars crammed the back parking lot behind the mortuary. The boy in the black body bag was sat on the table, and then they're going to do, an autopsy, whatever they do with an autopsy. They want to figure out what happened to this kid. So it's kind of hard to get, I'll try to get graphic, but it's hard to get a good picture of this kid because his face has been like eaten by whatever, bugs or not bugs, animals. And that's what happens. That's why don't ever die around your cat, because they'll eat your lips.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like you think your animal loves you, but they're just waiting for you to die so they eat
absolutely. They don't care. Once you're dead, you're just meat to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to feed them anymore, so they're going to eat you.
So before long, this becomes a huge case in the area. So they're like North Dakota's. They put out alerts to North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Missouri, Iowa, Colorado, and Wyoming.
It's a big alert.
Yeah. Phone calls to the media were made.
It's a huge alert.
Yeah, because they want to, it's a kid. They're like, we want to get to the bottom of this. Phone calls to the media were made, but because of the holidays, nobody came out right away, which I'm surprised, but there's something brief on the news. So when they saw the boy, they shook their heads when the medical examiner shook his head. He said that he was just not very recognizable. So small, they closed down for the lunch hour. The tiny bank of Chester had a meeting place for the locals for years. And now they're all getting together and they're like, we got to find out what is going on to this,
Yeah.
And the pastor came to the mortuary, like everybody's on top of this. I mean, I just can't say it enough. Everybody's on top of this. Everybody wants to find out what it's done to this baby.
Yeah.
Or not baby,
absolutely.
but 9 or 10-year-old,
still a baby boy, you know?
Yeah.
Just a young kid.
Now let's get back to 1972, Buddy. Buddy is negative 13 years old, which is weird because Buddy is born on the 13th. So, wow.
Huh.
That's some kind of freaky thing right there.
That's definitely not a coincidence.
Negative 13 years old. That's pretty young. He's always been young, though. Younger than me.
Yeah, I know, right? You are my superior or my senior.
I didn't say superior, but
Yeah.
I mean, now
Senior,
you mention it. Senior, yeah.
Senior, that's what I'd say.
On August 23rd.
I mean, you act like a senior citizen.
I know, I do really.
Old man.
That is true. That is true. I'm feeling it now that I'm getting older. So this is August 23rd, 1972. So Leroy Chupp and Liz Chupp of the New Order Amish were living in Marshallville. They took Eli Stutzman in, which is crazy that other Amish people took him in.
Yeah, especially after he's been cast out of another.
So yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy. Yeah, they gave him room and board in exchange for him doing chores, which is not a bad deal.
Okay.
And this is like for Amish people, a pretty big dairy farm. He was a young Amishman who seemed so unsure of himself, they said, as though he had like very few dealings with the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
When Ed Stoll's wife, Bonnie, first saw Eli Stutzman, her heart went out to this clearly mentally ill young man. His skin was pale. It was like almost chalky, she said, but had those beautiful blue eyes. And she had heard that everybody knows his dad was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that. So, those rumors get around. So people know like why he's doing this. They know that it's just to push his father away.
Right.
And he said that he told him the story, and he kind of lived it up, or what's it called? Played it up too, though, like how bad his dad was. But I do believe his dad was bad.
Yeah.
He said that his dad said, You are out. You are no longer my son.
Oh, wow.
When he got the bond. That's crazy.
I'd believe that he said that.
Bonnie also heard the story of the skinned cat from him, but some people are starting not to believe that.
Oh, really?
That maybe it was him that skinned the cat.
Ah.
We don't know, but we'll just never know. Stutzman kept unusual company for an Amishman. One of his closest friends was Jim Taylor, a deputy sheriff with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Oh, really? Wayne County. Where are they? Anyway, keep going.
Taylor and Stutzman occasionally went out for coon hunting. You know what that is?
Hunting coons?
Yep, very good, buddy. You're very, very good. That's funny. They never caught anything because how we know that is everybody keeps journals.
Ah, yes.
So the wife would have wrote it in the journal. She always did when they got coons, and they never did.
Keep their journal in the cornhole, too.
Yeah, they keep the journal in the cornhole. And another one that was close friends was Morton Bissell, the chiropractor from Brewster. And they became very close. And Stutzman was open and honest about his mental collapse at the Kimes farm. But now his story had changed from the salary increase he sought to a story that would get more sympathy.
Okay.
He said that he had been under pressure from the Shortson troopers because he had encouraged his pupils to speak English. So he's making out to be like he's a murderer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
So the lies just are never ending with this guy.
Yeah, so he's definitely showing signs of a sociopath.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. He was glad to get away and start a new life on his own, he said. And he was starting to wear non-Amish clothes also. So he's slowly getting...
So he's throwing some blues in there now?
Yeah, and some underwear. Because they don't,
underwear? Oh,
they don't wear underwear or they don't have underwear with elastic. Because elastic is the devil, I guess. Or maybe not the devil,
so
but...
now he's got elastic on.
Now he's got elastic. He's like, ooh, these are roomy. I like these.
So bundling gets a little...
crazy at night.
Crazy, yeah. I mean, it's all loosey-goosey down there, man.
It's all loosey-goosey. He's like, I'm going to bundle the crap out of you. On September 10th, he got his driver's license, buddy.
Wow.
And he bought a 1970 Oldsmobile.
Nice.
So it's a pretty newer car because this is only 1972, you know?
Yeah. It's an Oldsmobile, man. Oldsmobiles are great, especially 70. Yeah.
Probably really nice.
Yeah, I bet.
On his birthday, the Chupps presented him with a birthday cake. And he said that this is my first birthday party I've ever had.
Really?
And he was actually crying and he was so happy, you know?
Oh.
And
that's really sad.
Yeah, it is sad. They said that we felt lucky to know him, they thought at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when one-handed Eli found out that the Chupps had taken in his son, he wrote that he was very sorry that we saw fit to go against the church and interfere with the bond.
No, jeez.
But this was the New Order Amish, so they're not like have to listen to those other people. You know?
Right.
It might not look good for them, but they felt bad for this kid.
Mm-hmm.
They knew his dad. They must all know his dad was an asshole.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
For so many people to like go against his wishes, they must have just not liked him.
Yep,
I'm guessing.
That makes sense.
And these were New Order Amish anyway, so they would like sometimes use tractors. Not all the time, but they would use tractors, and they would get rides from people.
Okay.
In cars,
mm-hmm.
shopping or whatever. And they totally disagreed with the harshness of the ban, although they understood its purpose, you know.
Yeah.
So these are considered high Amish, these ones.
Yep.
And he came from low Amish. So the Amish never see, oh yeah. On the evening of October 6th, 1972, he wrote to an Amish friend that he had heard about some trouble in the church as more Schwarzentrooper boys left the fold. So he wasn't the only one.
Oh, no way.
Presumably for emphasis, Stutzman underlined the last sentence, which indicated that he had hoped trouble in the church was a thing of the past for him, at least for the time being. His Amish friend wondered if it was a hint that Stutzman would be coming back. Stutzman wrote that he'd run into a friend who had told him how many boys had left the church. And he said, now, what is the world coming to? Like, as if he felt bad that these kids were leaving the church. As the days passed, Stutzman, as far as the Chups could see, remained close to God, and he attended the Salem Mennonite Church.
Oh, really?
He's
the
like
Mennonite.
Everything he can do to piss off his dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just get that feeling like everything he does is just to stick the fork in. So his evenings were spent at church functions. So he's still doing a big part of the church. It's not the church his dad wants him to be.
Yeah.
For fun, Stutzman would wear his Amish clothes and go to Halloween parties. His Amish guy. That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
That is really funny.
Huh.
On the weekends, him and his cousin would go to country music shows in town or out for a few beers at the bar.
Oh, okay.
Like others who left the Amish at that time was his cousin Chris Schwarzentrooper and John Yoder. All the boys were Schwarzentrooper Amish, but since they had grown up in different church districts, they didn't really get to know each other until they were out of the church.
Oh, okay.
And they were allowed to work on this farm.
Okay. So this farm's just taking in random boys and
all these wayward sons.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, it's cheap labor, so I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
Go milk that cow.
That's right.
Go
Give you
plow
$1
that
a day.
field. We'll give you $1 a day. Yeah. Lydia Stutzman. So this is not of relation, but she was a conservative Mennonite.
Okay.
And they had a couple dates with Eli Stutzman. Let me tell you something. Don't ever marry somebody with the same last name as you.
No. Yeah, it's terrible.
Just like,
that's just weird.
yeah, I couldn't do it, you know? My wife already was a Newell, or, you know what I mean? I'd be like, what the hell?
Like, are we related
Gotta
somehow?
be related somehow, yeah.
Is there like some far line blood relation? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Are our kids going to come out, like, mutated?
Exactly. Okay. Now, when he's on these dates, she said that later on that he would never talk about his family, really. The only time he would is when he was talking derogatory about his father.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't talk about his sisters, his brothers, his mom, anything. One day, when they were passing the time of souls, Stutzman told Eli Byer, oh, this is so funny, that it was, no, it's not that funny, that it was a hellish nightmare living with his father.
Okay.
Stutzman said that he had once put a little button on his bridle of his favorite horse,
which is like shunned, like not allowed to. Yep.
And that wasn't allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And like his dad made a huge deal of it and made him take it off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a giving example. His dad's just a dink. And Stutzman, as a teenager, was determined to test the limits of the Ordung.
Mm-hmm.
His father discovered the decoration and became furious, and they had a shouting match.
Uh-oh.
And the button stayed, though. He said, I'm not taking it off.
Oh, really?
He put his foot down.
Good for him.
Yeah, I think it is good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Later, Stutzman was working as a hired hand on a nearby farm when officers of the Wayne County Sheriff's Department took him into custody. He said, because of that little button, my father told the sheriff I was crazy.
Oh, really?
That's how he thinks it started.
Oh, really?
That's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really feel, at this point in the story, I'm like, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, you really do. Like I don't have a problem with this guy really at all.
That's why I like this story too, because even at the end I'm like I'm conflicted, you know, because it's like I don't know, I'm just conflicted. I mean, he's definitely a freaking psycho, but I'm saying I'm conflicted because he had so much emotional turmoil. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good story. Byler was disgusted, yet he understood why his dad did that. It was so that he would conform to the Amish way of life.
Mm-hmm.
But turning his son to the sheriff and telling him he was crazy is like cruel.
Yeah.
It really is cruel.
I agree.
But he said that it was better to have his son insane than to have others in the church think that his boy's behavior was a reflection on him.
Oh, of course, because his reflection and his ego and whatnot is more important than his son.
Exactly.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a good bishop, you know what I mean? Or a good minister, a
good role model.
That crap.
Yep.
Ida Gingrich, she continued to write Stutzman after he moved in with the Chupps.
Oh, really?
She loved Eli and wanted him to see that he was wrong and come back to the Amish way.
Oh, of course. See that you're wrong.
Yeah. Susan Stutzman tried to win her son back with baked goods. But it was no use. It's not going to work. It's like, we're past that point, honey. You know?
Good try. I'll take some big goods, though.
Stutzman was examined for the draft in 1973. So what war is that, buddy?
It's a Vietnam
War. Or is it the Korean? I don't know. I should have looked it up.
No, Korean's before Vietnam.
Is it 69 something?
Yeah.
So he gets, but they are considered, because they're Amish, conscientious objector classification.
So they had an out for him, essentially?
They're not going to join. That's their thing, is they're not going to join.
Mm-hmm.
He told us he didn't look forward to working in the hospital. He preferred farm work.
Mm-hmm.
On Valentine's Day, 1973, Stutzman told the Chupps he planned to ask this woman that he's been dating to marry him.
Oh, really? He's getting married.
It's crazy, out of the blue, because everybody thought he's going to marry Ida.
Yeah.
That he's like, I'm going to ask this woman to marry me.
Okay, he's done with Ida then.
Nobody knew why. I think I do, buddy. I think it was because he got close with her and let her know that, listen, I'm gay.
Oh, really?
Will you marry? I don't know. I just get this vibe because it's like this woman that he was close with, and then all of a sudden, he wants to marry her. And, people said that the other one was a better fit. I think he could be himself with her. I don't know. I totally just getting this vibe. You know what I mean? I don't know. I could totally be wrong.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the thing is that she was like how they say bundle hard earlier?
Yeah.
She was one of those women that they said that she was with 20 men already.
Oh, really?
That's what makes you think also what is he seeing her? It's got to be that he can be himself with her. Yeah. I don't know. I could totally be friggin' just inventing this in my head, but.
Okay. I'll buy it.
A month later, Stutzman said Zuck had turned him down for the marriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he continued to date her. So it's I don't know. It's weird. In April, Stutzman said that he was going on a date with the ward secretary at the hospital.
Oh, really?
So a non-Amish, I think.
Yeah.
He wondered if he had gotten over people wondered how he had gotten over Ruth so quickly. Stutzman started working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, buddy. It's like a non-Amish job. It's crazy.
That is insane.
When he came home late, he said that it was because he had to assist a patient. But one of the many Amish coworker or ex-Amish coworker that he had said that this was not true.
Really?
Yeah. So nobody knew where he's heading off to.
What was he doing?
Exactly. What was he doing?
Trolling gay bars, maybe.
And yeah, exactly. Few at the hospital, people they interviewed later, said that you'd never find a harder worker, and that everybody liked him.
Yeah.
He got along with everybody. And they said in spite of his simple education, they felt that he held his own, with the other people,
What did he do at the hospital?
He was just an orderly.
Okay.
But still, only going to 8th grade education.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I already said that. And they said that he was especially good with patients who needed extra care and consultation. At the same time, Stutzman broadened his interest, buddy. In the spring and summer, he attended Cleveland Indians baseball games.
Oh, really?
Visited SeaWorld.
Oh.
And he saw the horses at the
The Downs?
place. Yeah, the Downs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's like
going up in the world, man.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. Baseball, SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Going to probably a casino, I'm assuming, is at the Downs. There's always casinos at Downs, right?
That's what I think. And like,
maybe I'm completely wrong. It's just what we're thinking around here. But
I bet it is. I think it sounds right.
Yeah.
So he was also going out at night regularly. Usually, but he would go with this Zook lady, even though she turned him down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think that there's something there. Like,
so yeah, it could be. I mean, maybe they're just enjoying their time together, and he's just using it as a cover up.
Exactly. That's what I think.
I could buy that. I'll buy that for $1.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds good. So he was like a party. He was like the opposite of his dad. His dad's like a buzzkill, but he was like the life of the party. People really enjoyed being around him.
Gotcha.
Some people said that Stutzman should be an actor. Later, when Yost became pregnant, whoa, she narrowed down the list of potential fathers to Stutzman and another man.
Oh, man.
Stutzman said, listen, I'll give you friggin' half of the money for go get an abortion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he didn't seem like he had any remorse or anything. He just said, go get an abortion. It's not going to work out.
Wow.
So, there you go, people. One weekend evening, Stutzman gathered up a group of friends to see a movie in Akron. When they arrived, he realized, we're not going to a movie, buddy. They're going to clubs. They're going clubbing. He's taking these
that's awesome.
people clubbing.
So wait, did she get the abortion?
Yeah, she got the abortion. So Stutzman had taken them to a strip joint, buddy.
Wow. Are they all Amish?
There's like his Amish friends. He takes to a strip joint.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they're like, yes! This is way better than my 1923 Playboy.
That I keep in my cornhole.
Yeah, that I keep in my cornhole. So Liz Chupp called the hospital when she discovered that Stutzman hadn't slept in his bed on the night of November 1st. The personnel office told her that Stutzman had clocked out at 11:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Stutzman explained that he didn't get even home until 8:45 a.m.
Wow. I was out partying.
He fell asleep at a friend's house.
Yeah. He was probably doing coke all night with the girls at the strip club.
Yep. He planned to tell Ed Stoll that he was ready to return to farm work now. And now he wants to be closer to God.
Okay.
So something happened that, 3 days later, he was on the dairy job.
Oh, okay.
And any of his close friends doubted that Eli Stutzman had odd ideas. They became believers at a birthday party in December 1973. John Yoder was turning 23, and Stutzman showed up wearing a brown plaid jacket, jeans, zippered boots, and bearing a gift that would be remembered for years by those who attended.
Man, that's way out of character.
Yoder unwrapped the small package and revealed a box containing red bikini underwear. Even the outside of the box seemed X-rated to the Schwarzentrooper boys in attendance.
Really?
Who had been raised without underwear of any kind. So it's like X-rated, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And Stutzman cozied up next to Yoder on the living room armchair and urged him to put the bikini on. This is so awkward.
That's so, yeah.
If I imagine me coming over here in front of everybody and being like, buddy, just try him on. Buddy, just try him on. Come on. And I'm like cuddling up next to you, you know what I mean?
I'd be like, all right, well, let's go for it.
He's like, I didn't know what to do. He said, maybe that's something you give to a girl, but to a guy?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. So in February 1974, the Chupps, Stutzman, and his friend Chris Schwarzentrooper made the 3,625-mile round trip to Orlando.
Wow.
Disney World.
Disney World, they're going to see Mickey.
Yeah. And then Mickey Mouse is like, listen, when you get back, trade your Oldsmobile for a 1974 Gran Torino.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Friends wondered where he had gotten all this money. Where is he getting all this money, buddy?
Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse. He's laundering money for the mouse.
I knew it. Disney, I knew you were behind all that.
Before leaving, he told the Chupps that he had gone to see his parents, and he had parked his car at a neighbor's so he wouldn't, cause them any more embarrassment. He said that the visit was a disaster, buddy.
Really?
My dad told me that I'm not welcome at the home anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad. Stutzman lasted barely a month on the silo building job in Greenville. he returned to Stoll's farm on July 27th, my brother's birthday, 1974, way before he was born, though, complaining that his cousin and the owner of the silo company were involved with drugs.
Oh, really?
So this is where the first time the drugs come in.
Ah, interesting.
Maybe that's where he's getting his money, buddy.
I think so.
Liz Chips doubted
Amish
his story.
boy selling,
Isn't that crazy?
selling cocaine.
It's a really good cover.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, officers. I'm Amish. I don't even know what drugs are.
It's not mine. The wagon doesn't hold drugs. And so it's weird because now they're like, well, we don't think that guy does do drugs. So he's like, he's into stuff that you don't know about.
Well, monkeys can't sell bananas, but if he's not a monkey,
that's funny.
He can sell them bananas all the time.
Exactly. The situation became more confused when word came up from the Greenville that Eli Stutzman had been fired because of using drugs.
Oh, really?
So he didn't quit because they were doing drugs. He got fired because he was caught using drugs. The New Order Amish woman, who was trusting and faithful, found that hard to believe too, though. I don't at all. Think about that. He's depressed already.
Yeah, he's starting a new party life.
Exactly.
Exactly. He's definitely doing drugs.
Oh, no, I think so too. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's trying to escape that. He's doing everything to piss off his father.
Absolutely. But of course, the sweet old Amish lady that's acting basically like his mother isn't going to believe it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's crazy because people at the hospital said he's such a hard worker, but everybody said that when it came to farm work, he was just lazy.
Yeah, that's funny. He didn't want to do the farm work. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Farm work's going to suck. I feel
definitely.
I respect the hell out of all our farmers.
Oh, me too.
Well, man, I would never want to do your job.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Especially if you have dairy cow. You have to always milk them or they'll lose their milk or whatever happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sucks. Years later, Liz Chupp sorted out all of this mess at the time with her diary. So it's another one of these women that has a diary and this is where we get this information from.
Mm-hmm.
On September 5th, 1974, Stutzman dropped a bomb, buddy.
Oh.
When he told the Chubbs he had ordered a buggy and planned to return to the Amish within a year.
Oh, really? Like his father's Amish?
Yeah. It didn't make any sense.
Oh.
He had just gotten that other car.
Yeah.
Stutzman had just spent...
He's going to sell his car and get a buggy?
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
So it's
probably get 5 buggies with that car.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't imagine a buggy. I don't know how much a buggy is. That can't be much.
Yeah.
It's just tires and a freaking piece of wood.
Probably not as much as a car.
Definitely not. I would
get a
imagine.
couple horses with that.
Yeah. Probably get the whole getup. I don't know how much horses are. I have no idea.
Throw a couple buttons on there,
Get a speedometer.
Yeah, speedometer, skin cat for that
It sounded like the freaking Ruben Mirror just said that. The day after his out of the blue announcement, Stutzman broke his collarbone in a farm act. Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Oh, man.
He told everyone that a cow had forced him into the wall while he was milking. So, Jim Frost used to tell people that he would... Oh, so we will pick this episode up, buddy, because it's going long. We'll pick this episode up with the investigation of the boy.
Oh, okay.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good. Yes.
What do you think it so far? You like it or no?
Yeah, it's a really interesting... It's a different story from what we've done so far.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to the murders yet, and I'm like, what's next,
It's wait till he really leaves the Amish. What happens? It's it's crazy, buddy.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, guys, to next week, and we will give you part 2.
Yes.
There'll be at least 3 parts of this.
You think so?
Yeah, I get to really tell the story and I don't know, it gives you a kind of a feel of who he is. We could do it in 2, but I'm going to do it in 3 probably.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a really cool story.
Cool.
Because you don't really hear about Amish that often, things like this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it right now. He's a suspected serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you just don't see him out and open, what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
crazy.
It's a crazy story. It's different, It's good.
And a gay Amish serial killer. That's just nuts.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, buddy, and everybody else, tune in.
Yep.
You have anything you want to say to the lovely people, buddy?
Well, if you have any questions, concerns, you want to email us?
Yeah, email us at where, buddy?
MurderIncorporatedPod@gmail.com.
Or Twitter us
at MurderIncPod. Check out our YouTube page.
Please check out our YouTube page.
Yeah, check it out.
But he does a lot of hard work for this. And, our video has 0 views, so step it up, people. And it's a cool video. We freaking play golf and talk about murder. I thought it was a good video.
That was a good video, too. There's some funny parts to it, too.
Yeah. So it's like, just check it out, people. It only takes a minute. Look us up at Murder Incorporated Podcast, right?
Yeah, I think so. Murder Incorporated Pod, I think it is, on YouTube.
Yeah, and it'll show up.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
And check out Patreon, too.
Yes, patreon.com/Murder Incorporated. So check it out.
All right.
You have anything else to say, buddy?
Take the time to tell the ones you hold dear that you love them.
Yes.
Thanks again for listening to True Crime by Indie Drop-In. If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com. See you next time.